Hello and welcome to Screwfix Live. We're here all week. We're live at 5 in association with the EFL. We have a cracking lineup of guests for you. We have a week packed with guests from the EFL, from the world of football, and we have our Product of the Year awards, as well as some great giveaways. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. We're also giving you the chance to win a Myra digital shower. All you have to do is enter your details in the form below on screwfix.com to be in with a chance to win. Now, today you've been sending us your questions for today's guest, who is the former Manchester City, Leicester City and Scotland striker, Paul Dickov. You can use the hashtag SFLivePaul, and we'll be chatting with him very shortly and giving him some Screwfix challenges to take part in. All I can say is I hope he does a little bit better than poor old Lee Hendry. He was our guinea pig for our ping pong challenge and for our Screwfix catalogue challenge. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that very shortly indeed. Now, we've been travelling all around the country. We've been visiting Screwfix stores, and we've been giving electricians and plumbers the chance to battle it out in our back of the net competition. That is a penalty shootout. Plumbers against electricians. It was the electricians who won yesterday, and we'll have a different winner every day, and then an overall winner come the end of the week. If you want to join in, if you want to guess who has come out on top in today's challenge, yesterday was the Sparkies, then you can use the hashtag SFLivePlumbers or SFLiveElectricians, telling us who you think will win today's shootout. And we'll be selecting 5 winners at random to win today's top product of the year. So don't miss out. It really is pretty straightforward. That's literally all you have to do is guess which one has won today and then tweet us using that hashtag. Now, let's bring in today's football guest from the EFL. He is a former Manchester City and Scotland striker, Paul Dickov. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Have I scared you a little bit with the challenges that you've got ahead of you today, bearing in mind that Lee Hendry found it so hard yesterday to get through this thing and find anything in it?
Well, it's actually quite good. So at least if I can get one, I'll beat Hendo. So I'm not too bothered about that.
You might be the week's winner with one. You don't know. It is very difficult, but yeah, I'm glad you've been having a look at it. Now, Paul played for several clubs, but he's probably most associated with Manchester City and that spectacular role that he played in helping them out of the third tier in particular, which young kids would find hard to believe given the status of Manchester City these days, of course. But Paul, do you still get people coming up to you wherever you are in supermarkets, etc., saying that they remember that goal, that 95th minute equaliser, which ultimately resulted in City being promoted against Gillingham from the third tier?
Yeah, I do, Jackie, and we're still living in the Manchester area as well. You know, the City fans are always coming up, and you know, I do joke with them, say I think it was the only goal I scored in my career, because it's the one that everybody talks about. But you know, it's hard to believe it was 21 years ago as well, which makes me feel really old. But yeah, no, fantastic, and probably the weird thing about it now, the club having the success they're getting, that the goal sort of seems more romantic and more important now than it did maybe 10 years ago before the owners came in, you know, because the club weren't winning trophies, weren't competing at the top end, and now they've been winning Premier Leagues, Carabao Cups, FA Cups, competing in the Champions League. And I think it's quite nice for them to look back at that moment and that game 21 years ago and sort of pinpoint it on its way back. And, you know, I keep saying it all the time, I'm the lucky little boy that gets all the credit for it, for scoring that goal. I do remind people there was another 10 players on the pitch that day because I seem to get all the credit for it. But I'm not complaining because I'm still living off the back of that goal 21 years on.
I think the other 10 players probably quite keen to point out to everybody else that they were playing as well that day, like Kevin Horlock, who scored, of course, as well. But is that why you stayed in the Manchester area, just to make sure that you do get people coming up to you regularly, calling you a legend? Is that why you stayed there, yeah?
Absolutely. It keeps my ego going after finishing playing football, I think. And it's quite funny you mentioned Kevin Horlock there, because with the game going to the penalty shootout, Kevin does remind me that he scored in that game and scored his penalty, and I missed my penalty in the penalty shootout and still get all the credit. So I always like to give Kevin a little mention.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you were 2-0 down after 87 minutes, weren't you? And drew 2-2. And the rest is history. And that was what a platform that was for City, going on to do what they've done now. Almost unrecognisable from the Manchester City that I knew growing up, that's for sure. But credit to you for your part in that. Now, we've had a number of questions in for you, quite random ones. I'm sure you're okay with random. Craig Anderson asked Paul about the World Cup final goal that he scored for Scotland, which probably a lot of people aren't too aware of.
Yeah, saying the City one was 21 years ago. It was back to Scotland in 1989. The World Youth Cup under 16 was held in Scotland, and I was part of the Scotland team, and that fantastically, and it made it through to the final, and managed to score in the Youth World Cup final. So I've got that to my name as well. But yet again, we went on to penalties, and I missed that one as well. So I've not really got a good record in penalty shootouts. But it was an unbelievable experience, Jackie. We were 16 years old, and the games were getting televised. 300-400 million people worldwide. The final, we had 70,000 people at Hampden as under 16s. It was an incredible experience, and I'm sure that's sort of set me up. I went down to Arsenal not long after that, and I think the experience of being involved in that tournament really, really helped me as I go down to Arsenal as a young kid.
And I think if people had 30 guesses as to who your opponents were in that under-16s World Cup final, they probably wouldn't guess who it was, would they?
No, not at all. Whenever I tell everybody it was Saudi Arabia in the final, they think it was some tin pot competition that we were involved in. But we had to tell them that it was, and it was a great experience. We were 2-0 up in the final and ended up losing in penalties. But I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of any of the Saudi Arabians. They looked as if their wives and kids in the stands. They were fully grown men with beards and moustaches and everything else. And we were little spotty Scotsmen trying to keep up with them at the same time. And it actually got proven afterwards that a few of them were, how do I put it, that were slightly over age of the age bracket that they should have been. So, but that's not making excuses. They should have won the game after being 2-0 up.
I think it's a fairly decent excuse, if you ask me. If everyone else is 15 and some of them are 25, but blimey, that was going back a bit, wasn't it? 1989. But you mentioned Arsenal there, Paul, and it's fascinating that you did go to Arsenal as a youth player. And we've had a question on your time there from Ian. I don't think it was Ian Wright. I think it was a different Ian. What was it like training against the Arsenal back four at the start of your career?
Tough, and you had to grow up very quickly. That back four is probably the best back four in recent years. David Seaman is the goalkeeper, then Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, Steve Bold, sometimes Martin Keown, and Nigel Winterburn. And we used to do first team versus a youth team every Thursday and Friday. It was George Graham's preparation to go into the matches, and just to be up against them and the experience that they had. And as I said, you had to toughen up very quickly, and it was sink or swim, because as the centre halves, Tony and Steve trained as they played on the Saturday and didn't take any prisoners. So if you were there and the tackle was there to be won just because it was training, it was a youth team, they didn't hold back. But that was great for me as a young kid to have the experience of playing against them and training with them at such a young age. And as much as they were really tough on us, it was sink or swim sometimes. But the experience I got from that was just fantastic. And Steve Bold, Tony Adams, and mentioned Ian Wright there. They were fantastic with the young kids. You talk about even nowadays the first team sort of being away from the youth team, and there's no real connection between it. Off the pitch, if you were struggling a little bit, and myself leaving Scotland at 16, whether it was homesick or lack of form, they were just big characters, and they were always there to give you advice and help you out. So, I say all along, as much I love my time at Arsenal, nearly there 7 years. Maybe didn't play as much as I wanted to do, but the football education, the life education I got there, I don't think I would have went on to have the career I had if that hadn't have happened to me.
And what's it like playing or being a player at the club under George Graham? Because he's not known for his touchy-feely, put your arm around the shoulder kind of methods, is he?
No, he's not, Jackie, but I think there was a little soft spot there for me. The boys used to call me Son of George with me coming down from Scotland as a youngster. And, George had done that when he was 16, when he went down to Chelsea as a really young kid. So I think he understood not so much the problems that you get, but what it takes to leave home at such a young age, move from a small town in Scotland to obviously London and be thrust into the spotlight at a club like Arsenal very early. And George was, as much as he was tough, on the outside he did have a soft spot, but I do think that was a Scottish connection in it. He used to. I'm not saying I got preferential treatment, but it was very good to me because I think, as I said, he understood how big a decision it was for me at such an early age to go and do that.
Another question that's come in: what was the best player, or who was the best player that you ever played with?
That's such an easy one, and it goes back to my Arsenal days. There's so many fantastic players there, but I've got to say Dennis Bergkamp. He's not just the best player I've played with, one of the best players I've seen in the Premier League era. And the thing about Dennis, he was quite unassuming at times, but he was just such a naturally talented player, and whether it be in training or the games that I managed to be in the pitch at the same time as Dennis, but being a forward, if you made a run and Dennis was on the ball, it didn't matter if he was 10 yards, 20 yards, 70, 80 yards away. You didn't have to look over your shoulder to see where the ball was, because you knew Dennis was going to land it at your feet. And he was just supremely talented, assists, goals. And what I liked about Dennis as well, seeing he was quite unassuming, he had a little nasty side to him in the right way. People questioned whether he could handle the physicality of the English game when he came from Inter Milan. But he didn't mind it. He didn't mind getting stuck in because he was such an elegant player. He got away with it quite a number of times. But yeah, just in sheer talent and ability alone, it's got to be Dennis. But as in one of the best players I played with, but the biggest influence was Ian Wright, without a shadow of a doubt. At Arsenal, he was just such an infectious character, as everybody knows. But I've never seen anybody throughout my career of 20 years that worked harder and dedicated himself to the game more than Wrighty did, and he was a huge help to me. I used to watch him being the youth team at Arsenal, and Wrighty would just scored 30 goals a season, was England's number 9, and just won the Golden Boot. And when everybody else had gone away from the training ground, he was the one out practicing his shooting and practicing hitting the ball in the back of the net. Didn't need a goalkeeper, didn't need coaches there. He just wanted to do it for himself. And he took me under his wing a little bit, and I used to go out and train with him in the afternoons, and that's something I took all throughout my career, because I thought he was the best at the top of his business and at the top of his game. And if he was doing that every single day, I needed to do that and more. And that was something I took with me. But it was fantastic with me. Love him to bits.
And yeah, everyone loves Wrighty, don't they? They really do. He's a great character. And did you get the impression that his work ethic had come from his background, and that he hadn't had a silver spoon in his mouth, footballing wise? He hadn't come through a nice fancy academy. He'd played in non-league football and was really late to professional football, well into his 20s.
Yeah, he was. And I think that showed in how he trained and how he played. Because talking about before about the Arsenal defence, Wrighty celebrated a goal in training, whether it be a 5-a-side match like he did if he'd scored in the FA Cup final. He just loved scoring goals, and he never forgot where he came from, and he realised what an opportunity he had and how difficult it is to get that opportunity to be a professional footballer. And as I said, his enthusiasm for the game was just unbelievable. I'm pretty sure that managers used to have to drag him off the training pitch at times and hold him back a little bit, but he loved playing football and realised how lucky he was. But he was super talented as well. But I genuinely believe that dedication and the hard work that he put in came from obviously not making it earlier, because if you listen to him now in interviews, he does say at the ages of 19, 20, 21 that he felt as if that maybe playing professional football had passed him by a little bit. So when he got the chance, he grabbed it, and just not just a wonderful character, but a wonderful footballer as well.
Yeah, wonderful story was his. Leading on from that, if you weren't a professional footballer, Paul, what job would you like to have done instead?
Well, that's something that makes my wife laugh quite a lot, because I don't do a lot of cooking in the house. But I actually wanted to be a chef when I was younger. I took I think it was food and nutrition O-level. It was O-levels when I was younger. It wasn't GCSEs or A-levels. And I passed that, and I just had a big interest and done a bit of work experience in some kitchens as well. But I'd be lying to you if I said that it's something that I've carried on for the last 30 odd years. But yeah, no, a chef was the one that I wanted to be.
Okay. Bar the promotion win with Manchester City in 1999, what's your other favourite footballing memory as a player or a manager? Of course, you're a manager with Oldham and Doncaster.
Yeah, That sounds like a bit of a cheesy answer, but I've got so many. Obviously, scoring that goal in '99 at Wembley and what it meant to everybody and what it meant to the club, the fans, it was amazing. But I'll never forget making my debut for Arsenal, scoring my first goal for Arsenal, getting my first international cap for Scotland, then scoring my first international goal. I find myself so thankful for being able to have these moments, and it's really hard to pick out different ones because they all mean so much to me in different ways. And then going into my management, and probably the biggest one for me was when I was at Oldham Athletic, and we were struggling in League One, and they took on a Liverpool team that had Jamie Carragher, Steven Gerrard, Raheem Sterling was there, Daniel Sturridge, Luis Suarez, and Brendan Rodgers was the manager, and went on to beat them 3-2. So there's so many fantastic moments that I would like to pick out. But as a player, it's got to be the Wembley goal, making my professional debut and international debut. But as a manager, it's definitely that Liverpool game, because nobody gave us a chance, and it just shows you that in cup games, anything could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to DIY, did you get much done during lockdown? Are you nifty with a drill?
I would, yeah. Again, I would like to lie and say yes. We've actually
don't lie.
Yeah, we've been doing a bit of a refurb in our house, which actually stopped during lockdown. But a bit like the kitchen, my wife Jan doesn't let me anywhere near it. She actually really enjoys doing all that sort of stuff. And years ago, when we first got married 20 odd years ago, I used to try and impress her and make out that I could use a drill and put things up. But some of the pictures that we used to have up in the house, and it used to have about 17 holes behind them because I kept getting it wrong each time. So we ended up having loads of pictures just to try and cover them up. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an expert at it, let's put it that way.
And finally, what advice would you have for Screwfix business owners about managing a team, bearing in mind that you've been a manager yourself and have that famous win amongst others to show for it?
Yeah, like being a manager, I think in any job is difficult. And it's about managing individuals as best as you can, but creating a team environment within that. And talking about George Graham before and the managers I played under, but probably the biggest thing I took away was, and my management thing was don't always concentrate on what people can do, because I think that there's a big thing that people have got to improve in things and get better at things, but don't concentrate too much on that, and maybe concentrate on things that people are good at and try and improve them as well, because it can get you down sometimes if your manager's constantly telling you can't do this and you can't do that. Yes, improving it and get better, but if you're good at something, concentrate on what you're good at and get better at that at the same time, as well as trying to improve it. And that was all I tried to do throughout my career as a player and as a manager as well.
Okay, very good advice. Okay, thank you for your answers in the Q&A segment. But now it is time to challenge you to our first challenge. This is the Screwfix catalogue section. Have you got it with you, Paul?
Oh, I've lost it. I can't do this one now. No, I'm always talking about it now.
Well, if you do lose it, you'll score as many as Lee Hendry did yesterday. Oh, sorry, Lee Hendry fans. Oh, it was so tough. We had a run through. I had to go with my daughter on Sunday, and we were like, oh my goodness, this is hard, right? Because there are so many products in here, and you basically have to go through as many pages as you can to try and get the answers. So we're about to play the Catalogue Champions Cup. I love this bit. So you've got 90 seconds to try and find as many products in here as you possibly can. I will call out a product type, Paul, and you just need to shout out the page number. So if it's in a range of products between 200 and 220, any one of those page numbers will do, okay? And so little hint, because I gave Lee this hint yesterday, there is a glossary at the front. So it's just the general sections. You've still got to find the actual page number or one of the page numbers of that product type, but that might point you in the right direction. It's still really hard, though. I don't want to put you off. Okay.
I've never heard of.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, your 90 seconds start now. Extension lead. I'll give you a little clue. It's under electrical.
265.
Nope. You can pass if you want to.
No, I'm not passing. I'm getting one at least.
Yeah, good tactics. Good tactics.
There's so many though.
Extension lead. It's under electrical.
I'm on electrical as well. $370.
Odd. Say it again.
370.
372. Very close. Very, very, very close. Like, 370. Sorry. So I thought it was 372. That was just Scottish accent. Yes. On to the next. A light switch. Also an electrical. Don't go far away. Light switch.
$299.
Oh, if you get... Yes, correct. Lawnmower. Running out of time. Lawnmower in landscaping and outdoor. Running out of time. It's harsh.
6, 1, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 620.
Yes, correct. Was he out of time? Adjudicator. Oh, we'll give it to you because we're being really nice, which means that we're being really mean to Lee Hendry, by the way. It was pretty much a guinea pig yesterday. Congratulations, Paul Dickov, doing it for Scotland there. No penalties required, which is a good thing. And you are straight to the top of the leaderboard. Look at that, with Dean Windass tomorrow to come, then Danny Cowley, and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank will be having a crack as well later on this week. Well done, you. Now, we know how important a nice brew is to Screwfix customers, so we've set you another challenge this week, Paul. We're calling it Screwfix Tea Pong, which is a slightly different name to the one that you're used to playing. So we want to see about your hand-eye coordination. Are you normally good hand-eye coordination-wise?
Yeah, I'm not too good. I'm not too bad at it. I actually used to play a bit of darts, so I think that came in quite handy. So,
you and I can get on just fine.
Yeah.
Love the darts. Absolutely love the darts. Brilliant. Okay, well, the challenge is to see if you can get 6 ping pong balls into one of our 6 cups. So they're all lined up and you have to either bounce them in or throw them in. Viewers watching online, you can have a go as well. Anytime this week, get 6 cups lined up and get 6, whether it's ping pong balls or similar, and try and get them straight into the cups or with bouncing. And then you can tweet us your video to SF Live 2020. Hashtag SF Live 2020, and we might well play out one of your attempts this week. So do send them in to us. Okay, let's have a look, Paul, at how you got on.
Here we go. This is the Screwfix Cup of Tea Pong Challenge. Come on.
Very neatly arranged. This is very neat. Yeah. Looks like you play snooker or used a triangle for that.
That was the children who set that up, Jackie.
Ah, you went for the straight, so you didn't bounce it first. Yeah. Interesting tactics.
Yeah. Oh, darts technique.
So Lee Hendry went for the bounce, but yeah. That's not bad at all. Congratulations. You're top of the table again because you managed to score 3. Well done, you. Well done. You are absolutely smashing it this week. Thank you, Paul. That's it.
I have played that before, so it wasn't my first attempt. I've done it a few times. Not with tea bags, or I must admit it was the beer pong game I have played before. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm just impressed you can remember playing it before, so that's good. I might have done, I have no idea. But congratulations anyway, top of the leaderboard on both counts. Paul Dickov, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, guys. Thank you.
You take care. Now, tomorrow it will be Dean Windass's turn to have a go, and we'll see if the former Hull, Bradford and Middlesbrough player can fare any better than Paul did today, although he did pretty well. Next up, we have our Product of the Year awards. Quality is clearly absolutely paramount to Screwfix, as well as our customers, and each year some excellent products come to market that absolutely need celebrating. So that's what we're going to do at this part of the programme. We've whittled down those products to the last 5 There will only be one winner at the end of it. Today's category is the Plumber's Product of the Year. And here are the nominees. Some top quality products in there. Let's find out now which one has won. The Milwaukee pipe cutter is the winner. Now, I said earlier in the show that we've been traveling the length and breadth of the country, pitting the electricians against the plumber in our penalty shootout competition called Back of the Net. You've been using the hashtag SFLivePlumbers if you think the plumbers are going to win on any given day, and hashtag SFLiveElectricians if you think the Sparkies are going to win. Let's have a look at how they fared today. It is the turn of Screwfix Pontypridd. Some cracking techniques in there. I like Leighton in particular. He's very casual with his can of Coke and just popping a penalty past the goalkeeper. The Sparkies have won again 2 days in a row. You can tell they're Welsh and not Scottish or English with some of those penalties, can't you? So 2-0 to them, but it's who wins at the end of the week that matters. So we'll see whether they can keep it up. And we'll be picking 5 winners who guessed correctly that the Sparkies won, and we'll be contacting them shortly to send them today's product of the year, which is the Milwaukee cordless pipe cutter. So hopefully we'll have some plumbers who voted for the Sparkies to win then on that front. Well, that is it for today's show, but tomorrow between 9 in the morning and 4 p.m. on screwfix.com, we'll have a full day of product demonstrations. We'll have information from product and professional bodies, and lunchtime Google Garages for you, which is where you can go to get webinars designed to help you run your business. And make sure you do take advantage of those. That's all right here on Screwfix Live. Then we're live at 5 again with another football guest. This time it's the former Hull City, Bradford City and Middlesbrough striker, Dean Windass. So you can send us your questions now for Dean, anytime between now and then. Hashtag SFLiveDean, and we'll put your questions to Dean. He is really good fun as well. He's a big character, so I'm sure we'll get some good questions and get some decent answers out of him as well. More details can be found on our Facebook page, that is facebook.com/Screwfix, and on the main website here on screwfix.com. That's it from me. Thanks again to Paul Dickov today and to Lee Hendry yesterday. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon with Dean Windass, live at 5. Thanks. Goodbye.